Hi and welcome. Um, today we are going to discuss about pitching. And pitching is it is just like an application. In simple terms, it is when you want to apply for a specific job in the real world, for example. But how are you going to convince the person on the other side that you are the best fit for them? This is the same case that you are going to do, but on an online or a blended situation. And so there are two scenarios in which we are going to discuss the pitch, how to pitch. That is the topic of this lesson. And so the first scenario is when a blog or an online business has advertised that they are accepting pitches from content writers. Okay, and the other scenario is when the businesses that you are targeting, they have not done any pronouncement or press release indicating that they want any writing done for them. And so let's start with but the pitch itself, it is going to be almost similar, but there are some things which on the first scenario which are different from the ones in the second scenario. And the second scenario is the one that gives you the real edge. Yes, gives you the real edge and has the most benefits compared to the first scenario, which is one of the best way to get your first the first $100 on the internet. Okay, so let's start with the first scenario. One, it will depend with where you have received this information from. Maybe you have subscribed to an online job board service. So they send you these alerts on the editors that are in need of pitches from writers, and this is it is from independent magazines to independent people, and from independent people to big organizations which are conducting competitions. And so in this scenario, they have the instructions on how to submit your pitch. Okay, and if it is a competition, they give you the specific guidelines which you're supposed to follow in your submission. If it is an article, whether it is in the creative industry or in the non-creative. Okay, and so they provide you with the tone, the type of clients, and the type of customers the audience that they are serving, and the voice that you're supposed to speak out to, that is to speak with when you are writing these things. And therefore, once you have read the submission instructions, it also provides you with the format in which you are going to make your submission. For example, if it is a poem, they will indicate the number of lines that you are supposed to submit. If it is a blog or an article, they are going to provide the word limit. Okay, and also they are going to include what you're supposed, the format. Okay, not the format necessarily, but how you are supposed to organize your ideas in that article. Okay, and then how much you are going to get from that. And with that being said, now we go to the next section. And so the next section in the submission instructions, and something that you're supposed to look out for when you are making your submission, is the legal details. That is, and when we mean the legal details, this refers to your right to your work. For example, let's say you have submitted your work in one competition, and the submission instructions does not indicate whether you're supposed to submit your work elsewhere. Okay, and in fact, you don't end up being the winner of that competition. Then what happens to your work? And do they have the right to repurpose your post, edit it and post it, or even post it as it is? And which is the boundary between your rights and the right of the company or the business that you are submitting your work to? Okay, you have to understand these legal requirements, but I would advise you not to enter into any competition or any submission that does not retain your rights unless you have been compensated for your work. Are we together up to that point? If they say they retain the work for the submitted work until the competition is over or something of the sort, run away. If they say you don't have the right over your work, for example, and they have the right to repurpose it and post it on the work on the website, or make it available for the consumers. That is their audience. They can even be sending it. If it is a newsletter, they can send it to their audience's email. Then please avoid those things. Okay, so go to those which recognize you and recognize your efforts as a writer, as a content writer, because it involves resources, time and expertise to make these things up. So I'm an advocate for no free work, and ensure that you take full advantage and full responsibility and accountability for your work. And so the other thing that I need you to ensure that you are conversant with is the payment information. So another thing, before making any submission, maybe they have told you, they have even provided you an email through which you will be submitting your work, but the payment instructions or the payment information as to matters on how much you are going to get paid, how are you going to get the payment, and what do you need to do in order to get the payment. For example, do you need to invoice them? And if it is you are supposed to invoice them, what are the cycles, the payment cycles? Are you going to be paid for the work done on one article, or you are going to wait until maybe you have done 2 to 3 articles, and then you will be paid on the 14th day or at the end of the month? And then the last thing is the method or the channel that you are going to use to get paid. That is, you can use PayPal, you can also use direct transfer, or even Stripe, and any online wallet that maybe you are going to use. Which of those which are available are you going to use? And if it is not making sense to you, yes. For example, I am in Africa, in a place called Kenya, and somebody tells me that they are going to pay me via check. So how long does it take for a check to reach me from the US? And how much is it going to cost me to receive it? If, for example, I'm going to pay for the packaging, for the delivery. And there are many, that is, for example, some things they don't make sense, and therefore, if it is they are going to pay via check and they're not flexible on their payment, you will see how you can go about it. But do not make any submission if you are not, the payment instructions and the payment details are not clear. Are we together? If they are not clear, don't make any submission. And if you do, please make sure that you contact the editor or anyone responsible for making any clarifications, and make sure that all these things are cleared out before you make the submission, and be credited for your work. Okay, and mostly these are in the submission page, so it is common knowledge, even though most of these articles, these competitions and online magazines and businesses that require submissions from the writers, they are not clear in terms of payment and how long you are going to get consistent work from them. And therefore, it is good to once your pitch has been accepted, or maybe if your work has been accepted, it is good to follow up and see if there is a possibility or a chance for you to continue working with them. And therefore, with that, we close the first segment. That is the first scenario of a job or a prospect that is requiring writers to make a submission to them. The next scenario is when they are dormant leads, and these are clients who, as we had said earlier, they know they have a problem, or they don't even know they have a problem, but they are not actively looking for a solution. And so, what do you do in this case? So, this is where pitching comes in. And there are a few things that you need to remember. And because pitching is a process, okay? And from what I have learned over the years, there is a series of 3 to 4 steps in this process, because the first process involves brainstorming the ideas, and the next one involves putting together the creative executions of this pitch, so that you can put the pitch and the creative resources in one pitch document, and then rehearse the presentation, because in this field, if the client does not know their problem, or they know the problem but they are not looking for a solution, then you have to convince them, persuade them. Okay, persuade them in a way that you do not bug them with unnecessary details, but at the same time ensuring that you are professional, understanding their needs, and also providing a solution that is going to be transformative in their business. Okay, and so apart from that, then you have to make the presentation and rehearse it, so that you are aware of what you're supposed to say even before you present it to the client. And so once you have done those 3 things, if you are doing it as a solo person, that is when you're starting out, you'll be going as a person, one person. And these meetings with the client, once you have scheduled a call, or you are going to visit the premise itself, is either you are going to go as a solo person or as a team. And so when it is a team, just one representative or 2 representatives of the sales and marketing team, which are going to close that deal, and that is one of the few processes in the onboarding process where you go and pitch the client. But before you do that, there are some few things that I have noted down that I want you to remember. One, in a place where nobody knows you, the first impression always matters. So dress appropriately for that occasion. Even if you are going to have the initial interaction online, that is through video call or calling, make sure that you are okay, and you appear as professional as possible. And I don't mean that you are supposed to wear a suit or anything else. You can even wear your formal branded clothing. Okay. And then another thing is that you need to understand the business. You must show the client that you understand their business, and this can only happen if you have done the research, or you have been doing the work, you have been doing good work in this job or in that niche, and therefore the client will not see you as a person who is faking professionalism, and yet you are not. The other thing is the proposal itself and the price. So for the proposal, it should meet the client's requirements. And when we are talking about client requirement, we're not talking about the need, the outline and so forth, things that they don't that do not matter to the client, but the pain points, the problem that they are facing, and how you are going to solve them, in a nutshell. Not outlining all the processes and what have you that you are going to do, the internal processes, but how you are going to solve this problem. And because one thing that you are going to be doing for the rest of your endeavor is to sell the solutions. Your power lies in providing the solution, and therefore, if you cannot provide a solution, then you're not best fit for their business. Another thing is the justification for the price point that you have indicated, and therefore it must be one of the things that you need to be very careful on is on the pricing, because pricing, it is one of the things that can make you get the job done, or it can make that client to walk out of that door and never call you again, or you never hear from them again. Okay? And because the quotation of the price that you have indicated, it should be affordable to the client, but at the same time justifying your efforts and time that you're going to spend on that project. And therefore, if you follow those three or to four things that I have told you, then your pitch or your proposal will be reasonable to the client and also to you as a person and also as a team. And so that was just the basics of what you need to understand before you even start writing. Now we enter to the next segment, which is the perspective, the writing itself and how it should appear, but also how it is perceived by different parties, that is by you and by the client. And so there are several things that you need to put in mind when you are writing. First of all, your writing should not be more than, your pitch should not be more than 500 words. It should be 500 words and below. And you ensure that you cut the fluff off as much as possible. Go direct to the point and ensure that you are persuading you having the diction, that is the word choice that you are using is persuasive, but at the same time you are not using or including unnecessary details. The other thing is to ensure that the way that you have written, it is written in a way that it is initiating the initial reply, because this either it is an editor or a person who is responsible for marketing or a manager. One thing that you are supposed to understand is that these people are receiving a lot of emails. They also have other responsibilities, and therefore you need to go to the point and show that you can deliver on that. And also, if you are emailing them, you need to ensure that your pitch or your subject line is as intriguing and interesting as possible, so that they can open your email in the first place. Okay? And using that method, you need to research. You need to research on the topic, not on the topic necessarily, but on the client, so that you can understand the main challenges they are facing in the business and how to alleviate those challenges. And from that perspective, you understand the pains and the challenges that these clients are facing, and you'll be able to understand, you'll be able to craft a pitch from the client's perspective. And therefore, when you are writing that, there are several things that you need to include in that pitch. First of all is the salutation. Second, it is the structure or the language that you are going to use. First of all, using the formal language that you used in your maybe academic endeavors that you are trained on writing professional emails and business writing. Please forget it and ensure that you are writing in a semi-professional format. And what I mean by semi-professional is you are using not necessarily informal, but you are using diction that is not corporate. And what I mean by corporate is that you are initiating a conversation. It is like you are speaking with your friend, but this is a friend that you don't have the casual relationship. So the pitch itself should not be casual, like having a conversation at the coffee shop or when you're having tea with your colleagues, but it should also show some kind of formality. And apart from the tone that you are going to use, which is persuasive and also convincing at the same time, the dialect that you are going to use also it should be consistent, and the register should be semi-formal. That is, you know who you are addressing, but address him as though you are having a conversation at a personal level. Okay. The other one is the bio. Yes, the bio. You must include your bio, and your bio, it must include your online presence. That is your social media handles, which, of course, they must show your professionalism on that area that you are pitching. Because one thing that I have realized, for example, from a client's perspective and also from a person who has handled those emails from on the behalf of a client, there are people who pitch for a service and then they do not include a portfolio where I can go and look at your previous work, because the quality of your work can only be gauged from your previously done projects. And from that perspective and from that standpoint, you will realize that if you do not attach maybe a copy or a link to your previously done job on the same topics that you are pitching, then the client is going to feel as though they are being scammed, because you're posing as a professional and yet you don't have any facts or any previous work that is going to show that actually you know what you are saying. That is, it is not proving you are walking the walk. You are talking, but you are not walking what you are saying, and therefore it seems very unprofessional. I hope you understand that point. And therefore, what I need you to do is that when you are beginning, I started by saying that you need to be doing some practice. Okay, and these are things that you are going to be brainstorming and then send it to a person who is going to give you feedback. And then when they give you feedback, you write again and correct on the areas that you have done, and use that as a sample when you are starting out. Do different content formats. Do a blog, do a newsletter, do an email. Okay, and also if you are in the infographic space, if you're in the SAS, SaaS, software as a service niche, you can do an infographic or even a product description, whatever you are going to be providing as a service. Okay, and then have a copy of your best work, and then save it in an online space, either on your website, because you need to have one. You need to have a website for you, and also if you don't have a website, include a link to your Google Drive that has all those things in one place. okay, which they are supposed, not only all your work, including those ones that you have done and they are just bogus. No, your best work, because the quality of your work will only be gauged by the quality of the work that you're going to include as a portfolio. I hope that is clear enough. And that is the last thing, the second last thing that you are going to include in that pitch. And then you conclude or finish by indicating your name and your role. And therefore, there are some things. For example, there is not some things, there is an example of a pitch that I wrote here, and I have been using it as a template for all the pitches that I do. If I send them over the email to an editor, or any magazine or any other job that I am pitching, but I no longer do that because the nature of the work that we are currently doing, we are going to the physical location on the physical premises of this of these clients, and then providing consulting services on a physical level. And therefore, for example, there is this a very short pitch, and it is that I'm going to give a link in the course resources below, and you're going to access it. Okay, it has everything that you need to. You just need to insert your details. For example, there is the name of the editor, because if you are pitching a publication that is that has included a submission instruction, there is always the name of the editor or the name of the person who is going to handle your pitches. Okay, so you say you salute them by saying hi and the name, and then you say you have an article. I have an article idea. I know that the name of the publication, and then you continue by saying that your readers will love, and I'll be honored if you'd consider it for publication. And then you say your word count by saying that my maybe 750 or 1000 word article, and then you include the name which is going to give you an idea. If they have not given the theme, okay, they have not given the theme or the topic that which you are going to write on, that is where now you put yours, and you keep and you bold it, and and then you put it under quotation marks and say what it will discuss. Okay, and then you say how the subject matter touches and solve a problem to the audience. And after you say that, you provide a very short bio of around 100 words, and then you say after that you include a link to maybe 1 or 2 articles that you have written on the topic, because already you have researched the website, and you know the type of the audience they attract and or target, and therefore you include 2, at least 2 to 3, but the least you can do it is 2. But it is recommended that you do 3 because the client doesn't have time to read all your articles, and so just provide your best 3, and then you finish by saying you can have this article ready by the date, and you conclude by asking a question if that works best for them, and then you sign off by saying sincerely and then your name. So the catch here is to ensure that you close with a question mark or a question, so that it can initiate a kind of a response. Because if you have been talking to this person for the last 300 words or 250 words. It also means that they feel that there is something they can give back to you if you are a good fit for them or not. And with that first initial interaction, now that is when now you continue. Yes, you continue with the next step, which is now to discuss the submission instructions, how you are going to submit the work after you have done, how much you are going to get paid per word or per page, but mostly it is per word. Okay, and then how long it is going to take for you to get your payment, the payment method, and if you need to invoice the work that you have done for the entire month or the entire 2 weeks. And then after you have discussed that, now you are good to go. I'm going to attach a copy of the pitch in the course resources below. So thank you so much and have a good day.